Because I'm in denial that I have to wait so long to watch Superman and the Fantastic Four movie, I'm watching a bunch of different DC shows that I probably should have watched before this point in time. Morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. One of these shows was the first and second seasons of My Adventures with Superman, and this show was pretty good. It was a little bit weird, but it was still pretty good. If you know any bits of DC lore or Superman lore, then you know that this show is pretty different from the, main origin for Superman, I guess. And really just the main lore around each character that appears here. Now, I can't speak much on this. I know, the basic lore, but I don't know, the deep aspects of Superman lore. And honestly, the core aspects of Superman, which is, that he's hope, and he's just, kind of a beacon of light for everybody around him. I get that. I understand that. That's a main characteristic of him. And My Adventures with Superman does that pretty well. So it's already got that going for it. I think that the opening scene was done really well, and just Clark finding out about his powers as he eventually gets older and uses them more is very interesting, and I think that they did it pretty well in this show. But I was under the impression that he gets his powers when he's younger, all his powers at once when he's younger, and it's kind of just an overstimulating thing. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I liked how they implemented Ma and Pa Kent really early on into this, and how they had actual reasons for their characters. They weren't just thrown in there. They were kind of just there to humanize Clark a little bit more, and they were able to make him have some character growth. And I think the way that he gets his suit is pretty cool, and I liked that Ma Kent put some of her loving touch into it with the trunks and whatnot. And really they just make Superman human, which is what's so great about having them. When Jimmy and Lois did eventually find out that Clark was Superman, I think that they did that very well, and I thought that it was very consistent with how they should act and how they should react to being told that their friend is an alien. And Jimmy knowing from the beginning was pretty funny. I thought that they did that pretty well. And I was also very fond of the way that they put some new spins on these characters, and even some of the villains, like how they had Lex, Heatwave, and Ivo all be incredibly different from their comic book counterparts. I know that Heatwave wasn't a girl in the comics, and I know that Ivo was not some purple centipede looking thing in the comics, at least as far as I know. So I know that they aren't incredibly faithful to the comic book counterparts, but I don't really care, because whatever. It might just be me, but it doesn't really matter that they aren't faithful to the comic counterparts. They're faithful to the core characters, but they're not faithful to the entire character. And this might be just me, but I don't think it really matters all that much. I think it adds more to the character if you put some creative liberties onto it. I think it makes it interesting when you change around the core characteristics and sometimes even the whole character, because then you get an entirely new spin on a character that you've seen before or that you haven't seen before, and you get to see how they act differently from a different version that you might have seen before. But there's obviously some characters that they didn't change at all, like Amanda Waller's the same in every single universe. She's just the worst, and everybody hates her, and I think that they did that very well, because of course you're going to hate her. She's against the main character, and it's very obvious that you're not going to like her because she's against your main character. I think that the whole 0-day episodes were done pretty well. I thought that the Council of Lois's, and really just putting some doubt into Lois's mind that Clark might not be as great as she thinks he is, was interesting. I thought it was kind of an unnecessary character arc, but it was still pretty good, because they eventually tied that back with season 2. And I'll expand on that more later. Clark being really treated badly by people and then being ostracized was an amazing character arc, because it showed how he needs the people around him to really make him a hero, and he needs people to understand that he's there to help him. If they don't support him, then he can't be Superman without people. I think that's a great character aspect, because it shows that he has a great relationship with people, and that he really needs a relationship with people to be Superman. I think the finale of season 1 was done very well too. I think that Ma and Pa Kent more deeply showing how much they love everyone, and how as long as you respect them and their son and their family, then they'll love you. And showed why this is such a great adaptation of Superman, and why this was a great way to show that they raised him to love people and to want to protect as many people as possible. The final fight was pretty engaging, and I was glad that everything really led up to that final fight throughout this whole season. And I was super excited to see Kara later on, and I'm glad that they implemented her pretty early on into the show. The next season seems like it was really just building up to bringing in Supergirl as a whole, but I still think it was pretty good for what it was. I was really just happy to see more of the world building around the characters and just giving personalities to everyone, like Lois and Jimmy, and then eventually getting to see how Jimmy interacts with Kara before he even knew that she was Supergirl and that she was Clark's cousin. I hope we get to see more of their relationship fleshed out in the next season or so. Really just Jimmy, Lois, and Kara eventually rescuing Clark from Brainiac, and that was just a great aspect because it showed that these evil versions of Superman, they might not have all been completely evil. They might have just been being controlled by Brainiac. At the same time, it shows that Brainiac had such a hold over Kara too that you shouldn't hold how rude and mean she was in the beginning against her, because she was just being held captive essentially by this man and being brainwashed by this computer program. I loved how they ended this season with Clark and Kara having them play catch and finally being able to be with the one person who knows what it's like to be the last Kryptonians. And it was really great how they built on the fundamentals of these characters that we had seen before, and it showed us how much we can care about these characters. And I think it's just really good to be able to watch this show right before we get to watch Superman in June or July, whenever it is. I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to watch the new Superman show, and I can't wait for the next season of this show to come out. I hope it's all good, and I hope that the DCU succeeds and all of these new projects succeed as well. It's a bummer that Superman's consistently turned into such a dark character, because you can see that a really lighthearted version of this character can be amazing for people to watch. I can't wait for James Gunn's Superman. I think it's going to be great. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great day. Okay, bye now.